Good day, guys. So today we'll be talking about the PCB board. Okay, what is the PCB board? The PCB board is actually called printed circuit board, and it's being used in modern technology. In fact, every device that you have now, whether it's an automotive electronic device, an industrial electronic device, devices in space, your mobile phones, your laptops, they actually have PCB board embedded in them. And something you need to know, without the PCB board, you won't actually be able to make those devices, or engineers won't actually be able to make those devices as compact as they are. So during the 10 days, computers were very, very large and were being mounted in a big warehouse. But because of advancements in technologies and also PCB being part of it, we started having more compact devices. Something you guys need to know also, PCB is different from motherboard. You know, when we see open up our laptops, you do see some green boards and some electronic components there, and we normally call it motherboard, which is right. Yeah, but PCB is actually different from motherboard. PCB is the board itself, the green board itself you see, or depending on the color, but usually it's actually green. The green board you see actually on those boards or on your smartphones, you get when you open up your smartphones. The board you see there is called a PCB board. It's called a printed circuit board, and it's been made up of various parts and various structures. So first of all, what does the PCB do? The PCB does two major things. Does two major things, though it still has so many things it does, but two major things. Number one is it helps to mechanically support electronics components. So one misconception you need to know is that PCB is different from electronics components. So a PCB and a component together is what we call a motherboard. But a PCB alone is just called a printed circuit board. Yeah. So PCB helps to mechanically support components. So what I mean by mechanically support components is that the components are being mounted on the PCB board. So the PCB board acts as a platform or as a point by which electronics components sit on top, and those components are firm. It does not fall and it just then sits firm. So another thing that the PCB does is that the PCB helps to electrically connect electronics components. So number one, it helps to mechanically support electronics components, and number two, it helps to electrically connect electronics components together. So when we talk about electrical connection, it's talking about each pin of the component being connected to one pin or the other based on how your circuit diagram is or how your schematic diagram is. So this is just like the two major stuff that the PCB does. Though the PCB does more things, it gets huge more things. So I'm also going to give us different kinds of PCB board. We have the single layer PCB board. So in terms of the single layer PCB board, the components and the electrical connection are just on one side of the board. This is majorly used in some prototype design or some simple circuit design. So we use it in some prototype design and some simple circuit design where you just want to test run some things and others. So we also have the double-sided PCB board. In terms of the double-sided PCB board, the components and the electrical connection are both on the top layer and also at the bottom layer. So electrical connection is made on the top layer and also at the bottom layer. And the top layer can be connected also to the bottom layer. And what establishes that connection is what we call a via. It's like a hole, but the term we use is actually via, VIA. So maybe another video I'll talk about what the via does and how the via is made and others. So yeah, then we also have another type of PCB which is called the multi-layer PCB board. So in terms of the multi-layer PCB board, we have it starts from 4 layers, it goes to 6 layers, 8 layers, 10 layers. It's actually in the multiple of 2. So the multi-layer PCB board is majorly used in some complex designs, let's say RF design, high-speed designs, and others. We use the multi-layer PCB board. So it can actually, those kinds of design using a 2-layer board might not be very much good because there's some stuff we need to think about. We need to think about the power management. We need to think about the signal integrity and others, which I will explain also in another video. So yeah, that is just basically it. We have the single layer PCB design board, we have the double layer PCB board, and we also have the multi-layer PCB board. And also two other stuff I also want you guys to know. We have what we call the rigid PCB board. So the rigid PCB board is, the board is firm, rigid. You can't actually bend it. If you try bending it, you're breaking those boards again. Then we also have the flex PCB board. The flex PCB board can be bent and is majorly used in some electronics, let's say smartwatches, bendable electronics devices. That is where we use flex PCB boards. Then we also have what we call the rigid flex PCB boards. So it's a combination of both the rigid PCB and also the flex PCB. You see it? So, and this is very interesting, guys. But one takeaway you need to know: the PCB actually helps to mechanically support electronics components, and it helps to electrically connect electronics components together. So this is the main takeaway, guys. So thank you guys for today. I want you guys to share, like, and also subscribe. Thank you.